Are you an artist, designer, developer, or any other kind of creative who wonders what the hell is going on with that whole marketing, sales, branding thing? Or you may have started to jump your feet into the water. You're playing around with this social media thing. You're really trying to get out there and understand what's going on, and you need some assistance, guidance, or maybe just want to ask some questions. All right. Well, that's what I'm here for. BenjaCon 2021. And I've got with me today the man, Eddie Phanichkul. He's coming in here to talk to you, talk some sense to you about this whole marketing branding thing. We met a while back in San Diego, and we're going to talk it up a little bit about this whole marketing branding thing for BenjaCon. Once again, this is Mr. Benja's ADD Experience Live, and let's go ahead and jump in with Eddie right now. No time.
Hello.
Yo, Eddie, what's going on, my man?
How's it going?
Good,
Let me
good,
see if
good.
this is okay. There we go. Hey.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you. BenjaCon 2021.
That's right, man. What started out as just an informal thing. Pandemic came around, and I was so used to having these little discussions. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I have Instagram Live. It's a new tool. Let me go ahead and do it through this platform this year, and people seem to enjoy it. So,
Cool.
I love it.
Yeah, I really dig it too, even though, I wasn't able to catch all of it yet, but I have seen quite a bit of it.
Yeah, there's a lot to catch. That's the whole point, to kind of be like the con. There's just so much going on.
Oh, yeah.
And you know about the con experience being from San Diego. So yeah, can't make every panel, can't make every cosplay, masquerade ball, can't make every late night dinner with whoever. It's madness.
I know. The best thing about it brings so many friends to town, like from out of town, right?
Yeah.
And I miss it. I definitely miss it. I don't live in San Diego anymore, but and you don't either, right?
No, I'm in San Pedro, which is kind of near Long Beach.
Oh, that's right.
LA, yeah.
Yeah. Man, I wish it was open. I wish we were there. But this is great too.
Yeah, so most of the people I've had on have been the artists, creative types that I kind of grew up around. Yeah. But when I met you a while back, you were doing an event with not an event, but you were working with Aubrey Miller.
Yeah.
Who's now doing awesome other things.
She's super cool.
Yeah. And she was kind of, talking with me about marketing, and we were talking about things that were happening at like the Nerdcore nights, and I was working with that too. So then, because of your association with her, we met, and I was like, this is a cool dude. And we ended up running into each other another time, and I worked with you at the Foundry.
Right. That was my beer bar.
Yeah, your beer bar. Well, I know you're a Star Trek fan, and
yeah, I have the Star Trek on in the background.
Nice.
The little L cars going
on. I didn't know at the time, but when we started talking a little more, I found some of your pictures, and I was like, hold on a second. So Aubrey was kind of upset that I haven't been really in the beer scene, in the craft beer scene since. So. Mm-hmm. You were talking about the Foundry. I was like, you know what? I don't have time to go to one of the breweries, but I can stop by a store and pick up a little something for this occasion. So I stopped by the store and got the Stone Imperial Star Falker hazy IPA.
Yeah, nice.
So it's got the Star Trek font and everything on it, and I was like, there's no decision. That's the one I'm trying out for this one. Cool. I don't know. Are you into IPAs?
No, I actually don't like IPAs at all. But I know San Diego is a huge IPA town, and I remember everybody would come in and say, "Hey, you should carry more IPAs on tap. These guys have a double IPA. These guys have a triple IPA." And I'm like, would you guys like a Bud Light or a Pabst Blue Ribbon? $2.
Yeah, basically. All right, so here this is. I should have forewarned you. I'm going to be trying this out here, but
cool.
It just kind of happened. So let's see.
Hazy IPA.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what hazy means, but this is a little less strict of a bite, you know, so it's got a little,
well, that's good.
A little smoothness around the edges to the bite. It's still an IPA, definitely, and it's from Stone, so
oh yeah,
it's gonna,
it's got a bite for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
But maybe not as big of a bite as like Arrogant Bastard or something, right?
No, that's a dry, sharp kind of attack.
Yeah.
This is I can tell now, yes, definitely got an aftertaste. The bite's hanging with me. It reminds me of kind of being hazy. I don't know why they would make Star Trek hazy, but outer space, it works though.
Their outer space theme. Cool.
Yeah. So before we jump into this, give us a little bit about your history. I looked you up and it said you started with web development. So
yeah,
a lot of people that I work with can relate to that. So how did you go from web development to entrepreneurship? Give us a little overview.
Well, actually, honestly, I started web development when I was like in high school or, before that. So like we're talking mid 90s, right? And just really trying to learn new things. This thing is making a lot of noise. Hang on. Really learn new things with the technology at the time and incorporate new media. Because, a lot of back then in the 90s, it was like, it's the .com era, and like people were jumping on board and getting hired out of high school to join these companies, build their web pages, and that kind of really lit the fire into me and say, hey, there's real money here, there's a real career here without having to maybe go to college. I did go to college, but I didn't graduate. So
did you study?
I studied a lot of stuff. So
okay.
I didn't make it to like actual college, university level, but I did go to Grossmont College and Mesa College in San Diego for probably longer than I should have, just because I loved going to school and I love learning. I couldn't put the time commitment in to actually getting a degree, because I started working with, I really got the business sense to, hey, get clients, and hey, all these people need websites. And it just lasted for like, I've been doing websites since back then. So, and every now and again, people still hit me up to do a website for them, even though most of my gigs now are consulting or, really business development and marketing consulting.
Yeah. So yeah, had you, you said you were a biz coach. Yeah.
Yeah. So, before, I feel like I've done a lot of stuff before it became popular, like the web design stuff. I was basically at the forefront of that, learning, HTML, JavaScript, and then before all these frameworks came about, and then I was doing social media stuff before it was called social media, right? I had clients in LA that needed to increase their profile. Everybody kind of saw the value of the internet back in the early 2000s, and I know you for sure know that. But I feel like I was one of the first people, not the only person, but one of the very few first people who were able to leverage social media's incredible reach of, people sharing stories or people posting on forums. Back then in the early 2000s, we had LiveJournal, we had MySpace, we had Friendster, we had all these things. And all these comedians and people I was working with, like, hey, I need to get my name out there somehow. And I'm like, well, let's do this. Let's create profiles on all these accounts. Let's go in and start just talking to people and telling jokes and, really getting the word out of who you are and what you're doing and things that you're doing.
Were people receptive to it or open, or was it like, pulling teeth and really getting them to like, no, this is the internet, it's happening, it's all over?
No, there wasn't as many trolley kind of people back then, I guess. And I'm not sure if you're speaking to the fact that if internet people were receptive or were clients receptive.
Were clients receptive?
Oh, clients? Yeah, clients were back and forth. Like some people didn't really understand it, so they couldn't really speak to the efficacies of it, or there was no track record. Not many people had done that kind of work before. I hold myself an internet media publicist, which is, now we know it as social media, right? It's getting your message out to a broader audience, hitting a few select platforms. And that's exactly what I was doing. And people saw the value of it, I think, after I started doing it, like my clients did. And they're like, oh, wow, this is great. You just created a forum or you just jumped on these forums. The forums were really big back then. Remember, like AOL chat rooms, all that stuff. And, even IRC, you're jumping into forums, chatting, sending pictures, talking to people, communicating with fans. And that was a one-on-one thing that I think still survives to this day in Instagram and Twitter, where you can have that one-on-one connection. People in the Star Trek community are super huge about, oh my God, this guy just liked my tweet, and and they share the screenshot of them getting a tweet like from this Star Trek actor or something that they're not really doing anything anymore, and they're just known for Star Trek. Maybe it's like a frequent player of Star Trek, but not a star, for example. I think one of the guys is Garrick or something, or one of the characters, and people get really, really excited about that. I mean, that's the kind of social media one-on-one experience that people love, and it still survives. I think that's going to continue.
Definitely. So with getting out there, you're meeting with people and clients, and you ended up meeting with comedians. Now, I did a little bit of stand-up comedy myself, and I couldn't tell you the whole online media thing as a comic would have been foreign to me. I was in computers and doing the whole video game thing. So that side of it, I was like, yeah, sure. You put your video games out there, but where did you touch base with creatives? And you've done graphic design yourself, so you're a creative as well.
Yeah. So, where do you meet these guys? Is that the question? Like where?
Well, no, like when I say where you connect with them, to me, there's a gulf between what a lot of creatives understand and know as, hey, I'm working on my art, I'm putting it out there, the art's going to speak for itself. And there's this gulf of understanding that I'm just, honestly, just really getting around to embracing in the past several years. And, just been learning, more about getting out and connecting with the market, getting out and doing branding properly. So with a lot of creatives, how do you bridge that gap with them and, let them know the importance? Or I don't know, maybe a lot of them knew the importance and knew how to find you.
I think some people really inherently know, like if you're creative, and sometimes you're, a lot of creatives, as you well know, are narrow focused on their art or on their work, and they don't have the headspace to do other stuff, but sometimes they think they know, and then they go out and find someone like me, and then I tell them like, whoa, you got it all wrong, or you got it half right. It's really that gulf is a wide variety of, knowledge that some people have, some people don't. And my job typically is to fill that gap when, if they know some things, I have to educate them on other things, or if they have good ideas here, but they don't know how to implement, I come in and help them implement, Everybody knows inherently, we should get a social media account. We should we should post, we should create, good content. These are all easy things and things people know to do, but to really implement on a scale that brings in a lot of, new eyeballs, that's a little bit more difficult, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So why is that so important now? And I think it's blown up now. And I have a Facebook group where I just kind of post some ideas and talk about some things, just because I used to be in the corporate space, and if there are already kind of avenues that do the marketing and kind of can put you out there, you don't think about it as much. So now that everything is more of an open playing field, social media has given us all of these channels. You can totally circumvent like the big conferences. If you're not going to Comic-Con, you can still, host your own little thing, call it something dumb like BenjaCon or whatever, and build a website and whatever, and you can do your own thing. So I think it's really important now. And everyone is on this open playing field. It's so important now, but why is it like that now? I mean, what happened?
Well, I think I'm going to correct you here and say it's been an open playing field since the internet was, and that came into everybody's homes. So as soon as you were able to, when I started out web designing and stuff, I mean, that playing field was sparse, but it was open, and I was able to build myself into a career because the playing field was open, because I learned how to do things, and because, I got clients. My name started getting out there with people, and I think it's the same thing. There's now, as you say, there's more of a need, only because I think the last 10 years, everybody's playing catch up. Everybody wants to do this now. Everybody, I've had Instagram for however long Instagram's been out. I've had Twitter ever since how long it's ever been out. But, people definitely know how to monetize and definitely know how to get users. And there's some dirty work involved in getting these followers. If you're just like me, who, I don't really have a product. I've never really sold myself as a person. I've recently started trying to do that. I think you're considering the same kind of platform right now to build your brand, right? That's one of the mistakes I never built my own brand early on. I mean, I got my own handles and everything, but I never kept up with posting every day, or matching the same colors to my post week after week. That kind of stuff. That kind of social media calendar thought. I mean, that's actually stuff that Aubrey used to do for me, and she was really good at it, and that's, I think, why she's so successful now, is because she understood that as a younger, she's like 10 years younger than me, but she's able to do that because she grew up in that space.
Right. So with me, I actually was doing work with other clients and say, hey, I can do this. And I've been out there, and I was reaching out and connecting with people through the internet. And, I would actually, follow someone's profile and find out they were like coming to the Electronic Entertainment Expo. I would kind of start not cold calling, but, cold commenting on them, on their post and getting to know them, making those kinds of connections. So that's how I was using social media, because I am a professed introvert. I'm not shy, but I kind of prefer to be in the cave doing my thing. And so when I did start doing the outward branding, I started running into a lot of just a lot of roadblocks or obstacles, not roadblocks. And I realized you can't just post stuff. And I think that's where a lot of artists do. They just post stuff, or they just create, and then they get frustrated that nothing's happening.
Right. So you have to communicate too. You can't just throw stuff out into the ether. And I think that that's what Twitter was for a very, very, very long time. You're just throwing stuff out into the ether. Hopefully somebody reads it and like responds or something, but nobody ever did. It really wasn't until maybe 5 or 10 years ago, well, not 10 years, 5 or 6 years ago, maybe, that Twitter started becoming more popular, and people realized, oh, hey, if you just start talking to people, if you start responding, liking, retweeting, and doing these things, people will also respond to you. And I think the perfect example of that is somehow my love of Star Trek has become my Twitter focus now. and everybody calls it Trek Twitter. And there's also Star Wars Twitter, and there's politics Twitter, there are these like sects of Twitter, like almost like communities within Twitter that are not really labeled as such. You just kind of fall into them, and maybe their Twitter algorithm finds it and puts you in this bucket automatically, because there's no real way to, say, oh, I want to go to the Star Trek community, except for following hashtags or finding people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fell into Twitter on accident, by the way.
Yeah.
I was using it, but I found out that when I released a game or released a product, or somebody else released a movie or whatever, you could get some reviews. You could go to Rotten Tomatoes or Facebook, and you could find a few people talking. But like for that instant response, I would go to Twitter and find somebody coming out of a theater doing a little video like, that movie was great. Oh my gosh, I'm actually going to sneak back in and watch it again for a second time, or, oh my gosh, Red Dead Redemption. I thought it was going to be awesome, but it wasn't, you know, and we were just like finding like, oh, you can get like these real life reactions, responses that are just kind of raw.
Yeah.
So I started responding to all these people like, hey, I worked on Red Dead Redemption. What'd you think about this? And people would just start responding, man, you don't work on Red Dead Redemption. Or, you know, or they would actually, you know, well, I liked in this part where you did this. And I was like, wow, there was no way to just connect this freely and not maintain a relationship. It was just random. Mm-hmm. So it really connected with me. And I think that opened my eyes to the idea of connecting with people and, you know, building a plan, a little more than just, as we said, you know, throwing content out there. Mm-hmm. So
that's the key. That's the key to the social media game. It's really connecting and having a one-on-one connection with someone, even though you might be doing a 1-on-1,000 connection with somebody, you know, like especially as an artist, you want your art to speak for itself. That's where a lot of people go wrong. You know, it doesn't always speak for itself. You know, you have to get out there, show it, and then, you know, then the art speaks for itself, right? As soon as you get it into the hands of those people or the eyeballs of those people, and you say, oh, wow, this is great. You know, this is now people are seeing it. Now they're able to make that decision. But before, if you just throw it out, you might as well, you know, carry a picket sign and just walk down your street and say, this is my art, you know?
Yeah. So is that where artists mess up most? I mean, that's just that one thing with, you know, hey, I made the art, and then they get mad. So is that the one place they mess up most, or what other areas are they stumbling in?
That's the one place most people mess up on. I have quite a few artist friends, obviously, and, you know, I'm helping one gal right now with her. She's got paintings she wants to sell on the internet, you know, and some people think that, oh, I'll just post my art and people will buy it. If nothing else, I'll sell one a month or something and it'll pay for itself, the website. You know, that's the kind of thinking mentality that a lot of people go through. But you know what? These days where there's such a saturation of online stores, such a saturation of people with the same type of art, for example, you know, like it takes a lot to really stand out of the crowd. And even though it is a level playing field, like we do say, you have to maybe do other things to get noticed, you know, whether create a Twitter account or Instagram account or something that you start getting followers and find people to really be interested in your stuff or talk to people. I think, you know, talking to people is the key to that one-on-one relationship, building customers. And yeah, I mean, a lot of artists do fail in that regard because they think they can just put something out and, you know, they're done. But that's, you know, really the beginning of their game.
Yeah, just the beginning. I started down the rabbit hole and, you know, so I've invested time and money in, let's see, Gary Vee. I was reading Crushing It a while back. Gary Vee, Ty Lopez, Billie Jean from San Diego.
Ty Lopez. I've been to one of his parties in LA.
Yeah. How'd that happen?
Oh, I don't remember. I was invited. It was a social media influencer party in Hollywood. He has this Hollywood Hills house with a pool and I think my friend's whiskey company, Henneberry Whiskey, were they invited or did I get them invited? I don't remember. It's one of the two. We were invited to this party, and we brought the whiskey as a complimentary beverage for the guests. And you know, as for the terms, I got to just go to the party.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was just one of those random Hollywood parties with a bunch of half-naked people with a pool and, you know, yeah, and Ty Lopez.
Yeah. For those of you who may not recognize the name Ty Lopez, before you jump off, he's, well, how did he say it? Here in my garage, right? He's the Here in my garage guy who had a lot of, he had the YouTube ads a while ago when YouTube ads were kind of just starting to really proliferate around. guy's walking through a garage, short, thick, dark hair with glasses, and he's got his Lamborghini in a garage, and he's like, "Here in my garage, he just goes off on this tangent." And I think I watched it. I didn't know who he was. I think I watched it just because I was like, who is this guy in their garage, and why are they talking to me? And it was just such a bizarre kind of thing that I sat and watched it. I didn't know that millions of other people were, watching it as well. So whatever marketing tricks were working at the time, they worked for him.
It's called having money to spend on ad dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Converting that into more money. The name of his game is just conversion.
Okay.
Yeah, just ad conversion.
So yeah, I got caught on to him. And then this, in my kind of like, I don't know, this seems weird. I'll follow him, but I'm not going to buy anything of his. And, and as I said, I was running into a lot of people, and I'm trying to find out what's more real for me and what's, something unnecessary that I can leave alone. With the Dan Locke, he's another one. A whole bunch of characters. And honestly, a lot of it was off-putting until I started understanding what was going on.
Exactly.
And one thing they were all talking about was having the right mindset. And at first I was like, I don't want to have the mindset of a car salesman. I don't want to have the mindset of a real estate, of a realtor going around, hey, do you need a home? Do you need a da-da-da? Well, come down to such and such motors. And, I didn't want to have that mindset. So that was a mental block that I had. And when you hear,
nobody wants to be a salesperson. I think that's
okay.
That's what you're getting at there. You're right. I mean, it's tough to think, oh, I'm going to have to constantly sell myself, to support my art or support my work. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
no.
That's all I was saying. Nobody wants to be in that mindset. But it's understandable because it's a little, sketchy sometimes.
So, and that's what I wanted to really, kind of point in on. What is that mindset that they're talking about when they say you need to get in the proper mindset? Because my version of the mindset was a very negative one, but I'm starting to come around to really understand it a bit more. And I want to know from you, when they say you need to have the business mindset or the proper mindset if you want to make this thing happen, what are they talking about?
I think it's more being assertive and more being able to not be afraid of failure, and just really building on what you have and having a more positive, less negative, more positive. I mean, there's a way to sell yourself without completely, shilling for something, right? Shilling as in like unapologetically selling yourself the way that some people do. As long as you're genuine, I think a lot of millennials these days also buy into this is that genuine people, they'll rather buy from a genuine company. They want to buy from a social responsible company. They want to buy from people like-minded like that. And so don't fall into the trap of just extreme positivity or negativity. You want to really be assertive when you're selling yourself, quote unquote, selling yourself, but not necessarily have to shill for it. You don't have to do a song and dance every time you sell something. You just want to be assertive about what you do.
Yeah. And that seems like where a lot of the feeling of fakeness comes in, where you're just shilling, you're just on stage doing a dance, and you're always smiling and enthusiastic in a fake way. And I think that's what turns a lot of creatives off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially if you don't come from that sales or business background. A lot of creatives, when they make that transition, right, it's like, well, what do I do now? Like, how do I do this? How do I do that? Am I going to have to do this? I don't want to do that. I see that with a lot of my friends who are creative that are trying to transition into more lucrative careers.
Yeah. In fact, a lot of artists, they kind of like that sad, depressed, I'm in pain kind of thing. And telling them, no, to sell, you must be enthusiastic. that's just a big diversion that a lot of them are like, what are you talking about? Ah!
So many people are introverted, right? Like in the creative space, they're introverted or they're in their own head, you know, that's how they're so creative. They just build these entire worlds in their brain. And that's amazing. I mean, I don't think I'm as creative as I used to be, or as, you know, a lot of other people out there, but I do have that creative energy and I have creative flow. But yeah, to really tie it all together, you really need to be assertive. You need to be able to be kind of a go-getter, but not necessarily that chiller. And I think that's what sells really well to people, because they're looking for some genuine connection, one-on-one connection again.
Yeah, the genuine connection is important. And I talked about that, having that genuine connection in a previous one. I think it was John I was talking with. And then I also talked about business a little bit with Theo. We had this concept of, are you raw or are you in the mix? You know, there's like the raw dude who's, you know, down in his little cave, you know, banging out this awesome sculpture, and he's just so raw at what he does. And then there's this other sculptor that knows every gallery owner. He knows all the people in the community. So there's always this little battle. One thing that we've been trying to find out is how to be both, and, you know, either maintaining a mindset that can kind of deal in both areas, or turn one off and focus on the other, and then all of a sudden turn that off and then focus on the first. I don't know if you found something that works better for most people, or if you even know what I'm talking about.
I completely understand what you're talking about. And for me, when I think about my creative mind and all that stuff, I like to, you know, when I'm designing logos or doing graphic design, Photoshop work, whatever, I really have to compartmentalize my brain into that mindset to get through that workflow. Because if I don't, what ends up happening is I start thinking about my business, or like, you know, what invoices are due, what I have to, you know, who I have to go after money next, you know, like who owes me money, stuff like that for your business.
Yeah.
And I think the real answer to that, it just depends on the person, but it might be also good to have a business partner that can help with some of those things. That's not always easy to do. That's not always the best for some people. Some creatives really want all that creative control. And so I would say, you know, yeah, you really got to compartmentalize your art from your business, because I think it's really hard to do both at the same time, you know, unless you have a creative agency that you can focus on the business or focus on the art, and someone else focuses, like I said, have a partner or a team or infrastructure in place.
Right, definitely. That makes total sense. And I think I've been finding different people who are like, you know, I have my creative friends, and, you know, I go in the cave and I'm like, hey, creative friends, you know, we're in the cave. What are we talking about? And they're like, all right, we're doing this and this and that. This is connecting with society. And then I have my business friends who I'm like, hey, you know, we're about to push this thing out there. I'm thinking of doing it for this. And they're like, whoa. You know, you've only got 2 weeks to go, and you're at July 4th. Just wait until then and do the whole Independence America thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Connect with people. So, yeah. I don't know. Do you follow Kanye West at all? I mean, he kind of have to.
No,
so okay.
I don't really, unfortunately. And, you know, we just had a baby, so I've been in the hole.
Congratulations
for 3 weeks. Thank you. And I recently just come out, like I think yesterday and today, really started working again. And I'm finding that the world is still the shitty world that we went into having a baby, and now I'm coming out. But for the past 9 months or so, the only thing I know about Kanye West is he got divorced from Kim.
Yeah, that's
it. Okay.
So one thing I found that was interesting about Kanye West, and it's not just him, but he's one of these examples of people who I think exist in this quadrant of, back to raw and in the mix, you know, if you're being raw and in the mix, you know, if you set that on the axis or whatever, if you can be both, he's somebody who was in that top quadrant of being both raw and in the mix, or, you know, both highly creative and able to get himself out there, marketed properly, etc. And one thing I thought that was interesting about what he does is he goes like completely in one direction for months at a time. Like you just won't see him on social media. You won't see him out in public. He's off on his Wyoming ranch somewhere, just closeted up. And you may hear somebody like a random picture comes out of Elon Musk and Kanye, and it's like, hey, working on a new something, talking about this and that and that. And you're like, wait, what? Kanye and Elon? But he's so quiet and reserved. I think that's like, that you don't see him. That's part of his marketing. And then suddenly his Instagram, gets deleted. His website gets deleted. I shouldn't say deleted, gets cleared, gets wiped clean. And there's like new content coming out on his Instagram, on his webpage, on Twitter. And you're just like, holy crap, where has he been? What's he up to? And then you get like another several months of him being out in the public eye.
See, what you're describing now, I feel like I wish I would have gotten a chance to meet Kanye before money. And how is he now, like with all this money and his crazy eccentricities? Like, was he like this before? Or is he just like this now because he has all the fuck all money,
He was like this before, but on a much smaller scale. Okay.
Well, I mean, that's on a much smaller scale. Than how do you process your creative and your business at the same time? What is his, I guess, process? That's something I really don't know about. And, I'm always interested in learning how other people do their thing.
Okay. So, with how other people do their marketing, marketing, I generally think of marketing, sales, and branding just kind of as the three things to keep in my head. It's the same. It's always the same: marketing, sales, branding. It's a cluster that everybody kind of thinks about. But there's also advertising in there, and Right. Yeah. So with those three, the marketing, sales, branding, advertising, that whole cluster, I think that I'd always seen it as tricks or whatever, or this is just unfamiliarity on my part, coming from a pure creative background that always had automatic outlets. I released something to my corporation and they're like, boom, we love this, we're going to put it out on Front Street. And or I had certain people I was working with, so doing it myself is interesting. But you hinted at the idea of knowing someone's personality and how they reach out. So for artists and creatives, how do you pull that out of them? As long as it's genuine, your personality really shines through in what you're doing. So that's really important. You can obviously create a fake persona, or a lot of people have these personas. Like I feel like when I used to play music, and my music persona was a little bit more outgoing and super extrovert, as opposed to me, who I'm like introvert extrovert normally, and I like to just hang out at home, watch TV, watch old episodes of Star Trek, and I'm happy. Yeah. But you go out and you have this personality as far as what people see you as, I guess, right? That's your, and I think people can tell if it's fake or not. So you recommend trying to find a real authentic voice for yourself and finding a way to market with that instead of trying to force it and then get comfortable with whatever you're doing. Right. If you're a creative person already, you have a voice, you're finding a voice, or you're in the process of finding your voice. And it's really important that whatever you're doing, it really shines through, especially it's going to be in that one-to-one conversation you have with somebody, or, with a small group of people that you're talking to, even friends or non-friends or friends of friends. If they really see who you are, and that's your real persona, that's what you're selling, in your art, in your business, Okay. So where do you see things going now? Gary Vee said we're in the midst of we're slowly starting to see the macro decline of social media as a whole. Where do you think we are? I agree. It's a decline of social media as a whole. Look at a lot of stuff. Social media is now being weaponized against us, in the past 5-6 years. We've seen lots more bots from all over the place. We've seen
like even in my Star Trek Twitter, like I get followed by random people, and then I read their Star Trek, their comments. It looks like a bot has written a lot of the Star Trek stuff, and then every once in a while you got like, Trump is the best. I'm like, what? You know, that's not like, there's no vaccine, or there's no COVID. I'm like, man, unfollow, mute, hide, you know, like, these things are becoming really difficult. And I think a lot of young kids now are just not on social media, right? A lot of younger, like teens and stuff. I know friends with kids, they're like, they just don't do it. They just don't do social media. It's kind of weird that we've regressed in a way where the internet, when we grew up, was supposed to be this ultimate information exchange for positivity. And, you know, it was billed as the great library of our time. And it's devolved to like people getting kicked in the nuts videos on YouTube, or, you know, squirrels stealing things from your lawn, you know, like, that's all you get now. And yeah, it's really hard to find your community online unless you have your own privatized little, you know, private Twitter, private Instagram, private, you know. I think that's going to stay, but that public stuff is definitely on the decline. And as people like us get older, we're going to continue to use it because that's what we grew up with. But the younger generation they're like, screw this. And, you know, especially with stuff like Snapchat, that ephemeral content, like posts and disappears, you know, I thought that was going to be like the new thing, but, you know, even with time, that's getting old now.
Yeah, that's interesting. Snapchat's an interesting case because I didn't get Snapchat until I met a group of people who were basically creating their own little reality show all for themselves. It was like 6 or 7 people. And I was in a Target and I saw somebody like sneak around the corner, take a picture. And I just made like this, I make little offhand comments to random people. I was like, oh, you're just gonna bust your friend out on the internet? And they're like, man, we Snapchatting. And, you know, they started laughing. And I said, you know, let me see. And she showed me, and it was just like, you know, her sneaking up on her friend, scaring her and laughing. And she sent it to her friends. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. It's just a small little way for, you know, the 6 or 7 or however many of you to connect. So, and these were from really younger people. And I was like, okay, they're not interested in being on Facebook and having all their friends and family see their business. They're not interested in getting a bunch of Twitter followers. They're not interested in whatever. So I thought that was fascinating. And, you know, as you said, even Snapchat's not like the crazy, you know, awesome wave of the future that we thought it might be. So it's very interesting out there.
Yeah, one thing that's super duper interesting and fascinating to me is the rise of stuff like OnlyFans, very micro payment content sites. Yeah, I guess you call them, right?
Relatively high cost for, you know, but
I don't know where these kids are. You know, sometimes I think, and I don't want anybody to get mad at me for saying stuff like that, but like, you know, the reason kids don't have any money is because they're all subscribing to each other's OnlyFans, you know? Yeah. So I don't know where that's going, but a lot of people are using it for making money and just trying to make the quick buck. But I don't know how sustainable that is.
Right. It's a funny game. I don't totally see where it's going. You know, not that anyone can see the future. Right. But yeah, you know, when you got some friends of mine, one of them was going to be on Sunday. You know, she's working with a bunch of Twitch streamers, the Geekish Network, and yeah, they're just building their own little community. It's like, hey, you know, you support us, and we'll keep bringing you the small group of people this content for like, you know, whatever, $99 a month. And I'm kind of thinking, you know, I could get another streaming service and have like blockbuster content, you know, sent down to me. I've been thinking about Paramount Plus to get Star Trek. Why don't I do that?
I have Paramount Plus. I love it. It's funny we talk about that because, you know, back in the early 2000s, I'm like, I don't want cable anymore, and I kept it, and I had a phone line for like so many years. I think the last time I had a landline was 2012 or 2013. I finally got rid of it.
Congratulations.
I know. But then I also had cable and all this stuff, and then I finally got rid of that, and then I had all these streaming services, and I'm like 10 streaming services deep now, and it's are we paused?
I'm just
Oh,
I paused you?
No, it was paused for a second. It froze. I'm saying we're 10 streaming services deep, and it's almost like paying for cable again.
Yeah, we've broken it up, and we're everyone's becoming a little more niche. They're getting into their little zones where, hey, I only want to watch these 7 shows. I just found out about, you can find streaming services like to any little narrow genre. My friends into horror, and found a horror streaming service where all the horror films and behind the scenes of slasher movies. I was like, okay, I didn't know that was a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The only ones I need are, I got Peacock specifically for Psych, the show Psych. I love that show.
Okay, yeah,
and that was fun. Paramount Plus I got for Star Trek.
I know.
Yeah, what else is there? Everybody has Netflix still, I think. Netflix is still the number one. Disney Plus, everybody is jumping on that. We have Hulu and HBO also. We have all these like streaming things now, and
Amazon Prime. I don't know if you ever watch anything on there.
Oh, I love Amazon Prime. Have you seen The Boys? That's an amazing show.
Love it. Yeah.
Eric Kripke is one of the most amazing showrunners, creators of all time. I think one of my favorite guys, Eric Kripke.
Have you caught Invincible on there?
Not yet. I think it's on my list.
That's worth watching.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And they have end credits that matter, so just remember that.
Oh, end credits. Yeah. I like Leverage too. Have you ever seen Leverage? It's on IMDb TV now, which is a part of Amazon. You can watch it with commercials. And that's the thing. These streaming services are bringing back commercials for some stupid reason.
Yeah.
Like we got streaming to get away from commercials, but now we're back.
All right. So yeah, Leverage. All right. I got that on my list. I've been taking down everyone's suggestions here, and Leverage is going to go on the list.
I got huge. Leverage is by a guy named Dean Devlin. Actually, when I worked in Hollywood, I was on set one time for one of his films called Cellular with Kim Basinger and Captain America, Chris Evans, William H. Macy, and Dean Devlin, I think, was the director of that film, which was a really fun set to be on. And he's done a lot of great stuff since. Dean Devlin, I think he wrote Godzilla. He's written like a bunch of these crazy fun movies, Yeah. But, they're maybe kind of B-ish movies.
Yeah. Still quality, but B
still
movies.
Quality for sure. Yeah.
So you say you worked in Hollywood. You mean
with comedians in LA and stuff.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That makes sense, huh?
So I actually spent a couple of years in Hollywood, just bouncing around to different places, different talk shows, really learning the business through my comedians.
Right. All right. So now, where do you see things going? What should people be on the lookout for? What should creators be trying to do now?
I don't know, man. It's always different. It depends on your creative flow, right? It depends on what you're doing. If you're doing art, that's such a big question mark, because I'm still struggling to always figure out what's next. Mm-hmm. Like every day, every year, what's next, especially in the post-pandemic, or even, I think we're still in it, actually, still in a pandemic world. How do you market yourself when, art galleries are not open, or bars aren't carrying your art, or coffee shops aren't carrying your art? Like, how do you do that, The big answer is go where everybody's still going. Like, Clubhouse is brand new. People are jumping on that just to create these group chats, which is, basically a chat room, but with your voice. Mm-hmm. Doing what you're doing now, creating these Instagram things, these like BenjaCon. It's a really creative way to meet new people and get content out. Building content is huge. as you know, content is king, and the more you build, the more people will find it. And if it's good content, you know, if it's, you know, something that people can identify with, then you'll start to build your audience. And one thing that I used to tell my other friend, who's a photographer, videographer, actress, is, you know, hey, you got to just keep doing it. Don't stop doing it. And she went viral for one of her videos, and now she's, you know, got tens of thousands of followers and is constantly putting out content every day or every couple days.
Yeah.
And is making money from her, you know, whatever, her viral video. I don't know if you know Amy LaJoy.
Amy LaJoy. No, I don't know her.
She's from San Diego too. Yeah,
okay.
But look her up. She did a video, like how, like a parody of everybody on a movie set, you know, and it's set to Electric Light Orchestra, and that it hit like millions of views or something. And now she's just like being paid to you know, pitch product and do videos. And so, I mean, it's just keep doing what you're doing. That's a huge factor in, for creative. You know, if you're trying something out, if it doesn't work, I mean, you can pivot, you can go to a different direction, but, you know, just keep doing it. I think that's the main key.
Awesome.
Eventually, eventually people are going to find it.
Very true. Very true. Awesome. And as you said, just keep doing it. I started this on Facebook because I was on Facebook, had friends there who I would always talk to in different groups. And that's the only way I talk on Facebook, by the way. I maintain like 20 different groups of, you know, I have a thought about, you know, art and creativity. I have a group for that. I have a thought about politics. I have a group for that. And, you know, it's just these small 60 to maybe at the most 200 person groups. And these are all on my friends list anyway. So yeah, I'd stay off the main timeline, but this IGTV thing kind of grew out of that. And I wanted to bring some more connective, you know, a more social nature to this social media platform, which I felt was kind of like, hey, here's a picture of me doing this. Hey, here's a picture of me doing that. So I just wanted to start connecting with people in different ways. So I started these.
I love it. I like this idea a lot. I've wanted to do a podcast for the longest time. I have all this podcast equipment that I bought that I've never done like any kind of podcast. I just don't have time for it, you know, with my work and with, I think my retirement goal now is to do something like this, or like some just podcast where I just sit and chat with my friends all day long, or, you know, once a day or something. That'll be fine for me.
Yeah.
But until then, I mean, I love being on the show.
Oh, thanks, man. Well, when I get that Spotify check to go exclusive to them, I'll you know, call back and let you know, and, you know, we can work out some business maneuvers and set up a whole marketing plan. So
are you getting royalties from Spotify? Is it like a whopping 10 cents?
Yes, exactly. You know, they say guac is extra. I buy it every time.
Nice. I would.
Oh, cool. Hey, man, thank you so much. Oh, wait, you got something else?
Well, I was going to say, like, I don't know how long these usually last, but, you know, if you need to keep going or something, you tell me.
You know, I generally cap these at about an hour.
Okay.
There's certain people who I really go a lot longer with, but yeah, we run about an hour. It was a good solid block of conversation. You know, I think I learned some things. And I think it's definitely good for the people who came through. Want to give a shout out to Game Fuel, Peace, Love, Happiness, Bell Clef, Rockin' Johnny, nice. Mr. Hickman, Carly Briggs, Josh Moreno. Josh Moreno is going to be on tomorrow. He's a cool guy.
Cool.
And Navy Montel and Nasty O. I saw you pop in late. You got to come check the full show out. So.
Oh, Nasty, you had him on the other day, right?
Yeah, he was on. He had he was the guy who did the Comic-Con at home.
Oh, that's right. And I talked about my Kevin Conroy experience.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah. The Kevin Conroy thing. Yeah. Nasty was a cool guy, also from San Diego. So cool. As you see what I'm doing here, the only way I could actually do this was to try to recreate that whole, I'm sitting around at Comic-Con talking to friends, people I've met before, associates, and that got me out of my, you know, creative, you know, in the dungeon mode, which I would stay in for months at a time. And Comic-Con brought me out. So I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. let me get some people on who know what the hell they're talking about, who have met Ty Lopez and, you know, and all this stuff.
I'm not like super proud of that one, so we shouldn't bring it up as much.
Well, you know, you ran into him. You didn't really.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
It was all right. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a fun treat that it broke up my day a little bit and, you know, got me doing more than I normally do.
Good. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks so much. How do people find you? I don't know if you even want to be found, but
I mean, I'm pretty out there on the internet, official Eddie P for most things. I mean, you can look me up on Google if you want, or my company website is M2Z, letter M, number 2, letter Z, M2Z.com. Eddie at M2Z.com. I mean, it's my company site. I don't know. I'm just kind of always working with random cats and, you know, having fun while I'm doing it.
And that's the key. I think if you can find your art design development, your creativity in a way that's fun and that has you getting up in the morning to say, boom, let's do this again. I think that's key. And that's one of the things that I wanted to bring to this, a little fun, a little creativity to all the things we do. So Eddie, I'm so glad you came on. I'm so glad you were able to make it. Congratulations again on the baby and the family. I love what you guys are doing. Sunday, I'm going to have a Trekkie on who's a bona fide Trekkie. So even if you don't make it live, I want to make sure you catch that one.
I might send some questions in advance just so we could, you know, get some answers.
All right. Yes. Well, it's been good, my man. Totally appreciate it.
Yeah. If you ever do another one of these or podcast or something, you know, I'm totally down.
All right, man. I'll keep you in mind. Definitely. All right.
Cool.
Peace
out.
Oh, right. All right. Bye. Cool. All right. That was Eddie P, man. Great dude. One of the more marketing affiliated kind of guys that I deal with. Very cool guy. And you know, it's a cool person when you met him a long time ago and your conversations just kind of pick up where you left off and you don't really have that weird, awkward phase of, wait, what are you doing now? So I definitely appreciate him coming through. We've still got a couple other people for BenjaCon. As I said, we're going all the way through Sunday. We're going to do this a solid week. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. If you've got any questions, comments, ideas on how we can do things in the future, let me know. This is all about art, design, and development and moving forward with creativity, because the only way you're going to get anything done is to create. You have to create your environment. You have to create your emotions. You have to create your money streams. You have to create your internet presence. You have to create the life that you want. So being a creative all my life, I'm putting all my energy into this whole creative vibe. Thank you, everybody who joined. Be back and be sure to subscribe to Mr. Benja's ADD Experience on whatever podcast channels, and check me out at mrbenja.com, which is probably going to get reformatted soon anyway. But follow along, and definitely, man, just keep in touch. Drop a comment, say hi, let me know what you thought about this. Let me know what I can improve or what you'd like to see. That's all from me today, man. Actually, in about an hour or a couple, we've got Patrick Hickey Jr. on. So if you want to stay around for that, go get something to eat, then come back. Peace.